Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, this first song is a spiritual from Appalachia, um, and it tells a story of interconnectedness, how we're all connected. In the spirit of Pete Seeger, you're encouraged to sing along. And I dedicate this to a person that I knew who passed away recently. Her name was Diane. She was a math teacher. She tutored my daughter to allow her to get into mag nursing. But she spent the last 6 months of her life in ICU. It was a sad way to go. So this song is for her, Diane, and it's called Will the Circle Be Unbroken? I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw that hearse come rolling for to carry my mother away. Oh, will the circle be unbroken? Yeah, everybody. By and by, Lord, by and by, there's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Oh, I told the undertaker, please drive slow. For this body you are carrying, oh, I hate to see her go. Oh, will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by, there's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I went home, Lord, my home was broken. Oh, I miss my mother, she was gone. All my brothers, sisters crying. What a home, so sad and alone. Oh, will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by, there's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Oh, will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by, there's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky, in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. I am Reverend Danie Weber, and I use they, them pronouns. And I'm really excited to be your worship leader this morning. Before we begin, I wish to welcome you here, both in the sanctuary and online. We welcome you today, whether the circumstances of your life, in the many ways, whatever the circumstances of your life. Let me try that again. Whatever the circumstances of your life, in the many ways we identify as people and in the diversity of how we love and how we live. In this house of faith, we are all included as we search for truth, build community, and strive to make the world a better place for all. As we begin our service today, I would ask that everyone in the sanctuary put their phones onto worship mode. And in case you see me on my phone this morning, we have a guest coming in from Edmonton, so I'm just trying to make sure that everything stays connected. But I promise I'm not off in other places. Tweeting, exactly. It takes a great team of people to put together a worship service each week. And today, helping out behind the scenes, we have J.P. Morrison and Rachel Derry as our music ministers. Claire Miles and John Elliott are in the tech booth. Catherine Schuler and Kathy Brown as ushers. Ian and Sue Johnstone as worship associates. Mary Eve, Tanya Collins, and Elizabeth Beckett are helping out with their children and youth programs. And I forgot to check to see who was making coffee today, but I'm sure that there were more than just a few. So if you have the opportunity, please say thank you to all of these people. It takes a lot of work to help us build beloved community. And finally, I would like to introduce my very dear friend and colleague, Ilara Stefaniuk-Gaudet. Hopefully their video will come up in just a moment. They are going to be preaching for us this morning. Ilara is a member of the Canadian Unitarian Council Board. Ilara, you are on video now. We can't have the two mics at the same time, so we're going to keep them muted for a minute. Ilara served for many years as the Director of Religious Education at Westwood Unitarians in Edmonton and is currently attending St. Stephen's College, deepening their understanding and practices as a religious professional. Ilara uses they/them pronouns, was born with chronic illness, and has been surrounded by healers their entire life. A mystic, a dreamer, an artist, and a student of spirit, Ilara is seeking to help us heal a wounded world in a good and humble way. Ilara, would you like to share with us where you are today?
I'd love to. I'm getting a pretty major lag between what I'm, like, my own actions and what I'm seeing on the screen, so I'm hoping that that is only on my side. I am here coming in from Amiskwaci-Waskahikan, which is in Treaty 6 territory and colonially known as Alberta. Amiskwaci-Waskahikan means Beaver Hills House in Plains Cree, and we are a gathering place since time immemorial for many, many nations, including the Niskapi or the Blackfoot, the Plains Cree, the Inuit, the Anishinaabe, and we are also in Region 4 of the Métis Nation. We are the largest region of the Métis Nation here in Alberta. I'm sure some of you have met or have crossed paths with our CUC elder in residence, or one of them, Elder Sharon Jinkerson Brass, and she has told me over the years, where I have the great privilege of calling her a friend, and she has told me over the years that land acknowledgements, for me, part of my practice needs to come from the heart and not a script. So I am bringing that to you this morning to consider. That's where I'm in. And maybe, Danie, when you start talking again, if you could just let me know if the lag is only on my side, that would be great. Thanks.
We heard you clear, and I think maybe we've got, a 3-second lag or something like that, but hopefully that works out mostly not too bumpy. Here in Hamilton, we were not the first people of this land, nor will we be the last. We acknowledge our connection to the web of all existence, which includes honoring the past and preparing for the future. The stewards of this land between the Great Lakes were the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Mississauga peoples. They have worked collaboratively with the earth for generations, and we seek to follow along in their path. to learn from their teachings and to live with recognition of our actions for those who follow us. We light a chalice each time that we gather, a symbol of our faith and a reminder that we are entering sacred space and time together. We speak words in unison as we light this flame, words that our children's program uses as well. Please join me in this recitation. May this flame kindle the light of friendship and love. Hopefully after the service there will be a projection show of some of our announcements today, but I do have two very short ones. Monday mindfulness groups are meeting every second Monday, starting, well, it is happening tomorrow and then every second Monday, and it's from 2:30 to 3:30 right here in the sanctuary. And for January, our monthly games night will be happening on January 24th instead of the last Friday. So January 24th from 6 to 9, and that happens in Fellowship Hall at the other end of the building. If you are interested in coming, please bring some games and your favorite nut-free dish for our potluck. As we gather for worship this morning, I share the elements of emergent strategy. The strategies of emergence is a path that invites us to think about change as a constant state of being and how to align and direct it towards that which affirms and creates more life. The elements of emergent strategy are linear and iterative. Let me start that again. Non-linear and iterative. This is a practice of how do I, or how do we, learn from our history. It's also fractal, recognizing that how we are on the small scale is how we are at the large scale. Emergent strategy is adaptive, exploring how we live and grow and stay purposeful in the face of constant change. It's resilient and transformative justice. These are the practices of how we recover and transform ourselves. We are concerned about creating more possibilities, recognizing where we move forward together and where we shape tomorrow towards abundance. And interdependence and decentralization, a recognition of mutual resilience, shared leadership, and vision. With these elements of emergent strategy in mind, come and let us worship together this morning. And we will begin our worship with singing together, number 311, Let It Be a Dance. Words will be on the walls behind me or in the gray hymnal 311. think we are going to be bringing Ilara up to do the children's story.
Good morning again, everybody. I have gently requested to Danie that if Spruce is not audible, that I will pivot, because Spruce is a fast talker, aren't you, Spruce? Yeah, I am. Hi, my name is Spruce, and my pronouns are squee and squirrel. Squee and squir. Squee because I squee a lot, and squir because I am indeed a squirrel. So, Spruce, yeah, what's that? We have a story to tell today. I know. I'm excited about it. And I'm also I think it's a little bit funny. Why do you think it's funny? Because we have a story about the theme of storytelling, and I think that's pretty silly. Oh, that's true. We do have a story about the theme of storytelling, but you are really good at telling stories, so I think it makes sense that we have you help us out this morning. That's great. Thank you. I actually had a really fun idea today. Well, what was your idea? So, 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 some of my friends at church are part of the Soul Matters group. Yeah, that would include me, I do believe. Yeah, you've told me about it before. And so this month, I actually looked at the Soul Matters packet for the theme of living love through the practice of story, and I really liked one of the activities, and I really want to try it out. Okay, that sounds like fun. I don't know if folks are online and can type in a chat. I don't think they are, but that's okay. So let's just go with that. What was the activity that you wanted to try out? Well, there was an activity that said you should go through your life and use 5 to 7 word sentences to tell about the chapters in your life, and I thought that sounded fun and also really, really hard, so I wanted to challenge myself a little bit. That sounds like fun. Why did you think it sounded hard? Well, because it's very few words, and I am not a squirrel of very few words. I am a squirrel of many, 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 many words. Yeah, that's very true. You are a squirrel of many words. But it sounds like you might have had some ideas for the stories that you wanted to tell. What chapters did you want to give us about your life in 5 to 7 words? Okay. My favorite one was jumping from tree to tree to tree to tree to tree to tree. That's a lot more than 5 words, Bruce. Because I use the same words over and over again, and it's really only 4. Okay, Spruce. Maybe let's try to keep the next chapters a little bit shorter. Okay, so my next one was Wise Owl Teaches Me Slowing Down. You must have been really fast before you met that owl. It's true. Down. And then I met this lovely owl named Olga, and Olga taught me that in the wintertime, when it was snowing, I could just watch the snowflakes, and I didn't have to jump from tree to tree as much in the winter. It was very wise of her. I haven't seen her in a while. Maybe we should reconnect. Yeah, okay. And then I had the chapter of Grandpa Squirrel Breaks His Tail. Fitting 5 words. You're doing great. What was so significant about Grandpa Squirrel breaking his tail? Well, when Grandpa Squirrel broke his tail, I had to learn how to gather acorns from the spots that Grandpa Squirrel used to gather acorns from, and that was a lot more work, and it taught me how to be compassionate with Grandpa Squirrel because he lived in his tree and he couldn't jump from tree to tree to tree to tree anymore, and it also helped me learn to listen to my elders and take on more responsibility for caring for the community that I was a part of in my big tree. That does sound like a very significant chapter. Did Grandpa Squirrel's tail heal? Yeah, it did. But it took a whole season, and I learned a lot that year. That's really sweet. Are there any more chapters that you would like to share with us? Yeah! So I also learned to practice listening from my friend Goldie the golden corn snake. That one was really hard and I still have to work on it. But learning to practice listening from Goldie is 7 words. You are doing very good at your counting today, Spruce. Might actually be the last chapter because I'm definitely still working on listening. I know you've come a very long way. There were a lot of times when Goldie had a hard time feeling like she could share stories with you, but a big part of our storytelling is listening, isn't it? If we can tell our stories in only 5 or 7 words, if we're not listening to each other, then we're not hearing anybody else's story. Get pretty lonely and boring after a time learning that. Well, thank you for teaching us about your life and the chapters in your life and for telling us stories about storytelling. Everybody has a great day today.
And we will now sing the children out to their classes. Go ahead. The offering that we take each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission, to nurture each other, serve the community, and inspire action that heals the world.
This song is about a woman who feels trapped. She longs for escape, and she longs for freedom. John Prine song. I'm an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another child is grown old. Dreams were lightning, thunder was desire. This old house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
But a free rambling man. But that was was a long time. No matter how hard I tried, the years just flew by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel, flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is such a long way to go.
There's flies in the kitchen. I can hear them there buzzing. I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, and nothing to say? Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Believing this living is just a hard way to go.
Thank you for your gifts to our community and your dedication to our mission. Today's meditation is entitled, Today is an Adventure by Reverend Bob Janice Dillon. Today is an adventure. Each day is an adventure. It begins with the earth turning to reveal the sun, a ball of flame almost 1,000,000 miles across. That we have known throughout our lives and the lives of every earth creature who has ever lived. The adventure of today begins with the blood of life flowing through our arteries and capillaries, with the breath of life connecting us with the trees in mutual wonder and uplifting joy. And the day progresses through sorrows and disappointments, snatches of good luck, with 5-year conversations continued with old friends, and a new hello to the fellow traveler on the sidewalk. Is this not all an adventure, companions? Do we not travel through time and space and through the electric galaxy of emotions, swirling in the space of our minds? Is this not a desperately exciting opportunity for the world to happen and us to care about it? Is not this whole story, is not every blink of our eyes a miracle? We'll have a moment of silence, and when the music begins, please come forward to light a candle of joy or sorrow. We come now to a time in our service when we affirm the ways that we are connected in this life, as we live into the truth that what affects one of us affects us all. In the spirit of community care, let us open our hearts to one another and to all that we hold sacred. Sometimes the sorrows within our lives are too tender to be shared aloud. And so today we hold this space in silence to remind one another that we are never alone in our sorrows and challenges. Alongside the struggles and sorrows of this life, there is also joy to share, milestones, blessings, and celebrations of all kinds, for which we are moved to give thanks. We celebrate the joy among us and rejoice in the happiness that flows through our community. Sharing our sorrows and our joys within this beloved community can be an act of courage and vulnerability. And to witness the joys and sorrows that are present within the life of our community helps us to deepen our relationships to this caring community. May we continue to be both courageous and compassionate. And now I would like to invite Ilara onto the screen to share their sermon with us.
Good morning, friends. I'm honored to be with you this morning. For those of you who I haven't crossed paths with yet, I know Reverend Danie gave me a brief introduction, but I'm also one of our Canadian cohort of ministerial aspirants. I just started my second semester of seminary last week, and I have dreams of an arts-based community ministry. When Reverend Danie invited me to come speak this month, I was really excited because this month's Soul Matters theme is one that I deeply resonate with. Living love through the practice of story holds so many layers of what I value within the context of my life and my ministry. I also got some insider knowledge that y'all have been working on building your Soul Matters small group ministry. I love small group ministry. I've been facilitating our online Soul Matters group at the Unitarian Church of Edmonton for about a year and a half, and I've facilitated other shapes of small group ministry for over a decade now. This month's theme is one of the foundational reasons why I love small group ministry so much. Because we have the opportunity in a small group setting to practice love through sharing our stories and through deeply listening to the stories of others. I know Spruce hinted at that. The value of this sharing and deep listening in today's world is greater than you might think. Last semester, I wrote a paper about how small group ministry is one tool that we can use to create connection in a lonely world. One of the writers who has been the most impactful in my organizing and group facilitation that I drew on for that research paper is Adrienne Maree Brown. I have learned that it is wise to keep an extra copy of her book, Emergent Strategy, on hand so that I'm never without my own to refer to, because I always end up gifting them. Adrienne outlines 9 original principles of emergent strategy, and they are worth quoting in full. These feel like gems of divine guidance to me. I'm going to read them slowly, maybe extra slowly, because I know there's a little bit of a lag. And while I read them, I invite you to breathe in and feel how they land in your body. Small is good. Small is all. The large is a reflection of the small. Change is constant. Be like water. There is always enough time for the right work. There is a conversation in the room that only these people at this moment can have. Find it. Never a failure, always a lesson. Trust the people. If you trust the people, they become trustworthy. Move at the speed of trust. Focus on critical connections more than critical mass. Build the resilience by building the relationships. Less prep, more presence. What you pay attention to grows. Adrienne was very clear that these principles are a beginning and not an end, and that we are to work on adding to them as we grow and develop our own emergent strategies. However, these particular principles that she developed have also been woven into how I show up in the small group ministries and circles that I facilitate and participate in. That said, the main reason why I love Adrienne's work is because of her commitment to embodiment, magic, and change-making. Even these principles, which are all derived from observation of the natural world, are an invitation into an embodied experience of relationship among beings. The stories we tell ourselves live in our bodies, so invitations into new ways of embodiment and somatic work can also shift our stories, both individually and collectively. I'd like to guide you on a brief inner exploration to let you experience this for yourselves. If it feels safe to do so, I invite you to close your eyes. After a few grounding breaths, I'm going to slowly speak 3 sets of contrasting statements, which I invite you to feel really landing in your body. There's no right or wrong responses here. Simply notice how your body reacts to the statements. Let's take 3 grounding breaths together. As you inhale, notice where you feel the breath most in your body and let your attention rest there. And exhale, releasing anything that feels ready to be let go of in this moment. Inhale and release. Inhale and release. Here is our first set of statements. Remember, just let your body feel what it feels as the words land. I never have enough time. There is always enough time for the right work. Let's take one clearing breath before the next statements. Inhale and let it out. Bigger is always better. Small is all. The large is a reflection of the small. Deep breath. In and out. Stranger danger. You can't trust anyone. Trust the people. If you trust the people, they become trustworthy. I invite you to join me in taking 3 breaths in your own rhythm and then open your eyes when you feel ready. Okay, so what does this have to do with small group ministry? First of all, regardless of what your unique experiences were with this brief exercise, It helps us understand that different messages create different feeling experiences within our bodies. This is important because our internal messages, some more conscious than others, are the building blocks that shape the stories we tell ourselves and the stories we share. When we are in a circle of trust, as Parker Palmer calls the small group ministries that UU Wellspring and Soul Matters are largely inspired by, we have the opportunity to notice and have reflected back some of the stories we tell ourselves, as we learn to listen to that still, small voice within. In doing this work, we might learn that some of the stories we tell are hurting us. In doing this work, we might be able to heal and transform some of those stories in our bodies, which can feel miraculous. Secondly, this exercise exemplifies co-regulation, which is another experience that can be practiced at a much deeper level within a small group context where trust has been developed. Co-regulation is one way of resetting our nervous systems to help us access the parts of our brains that allow for reasoning and reflection, which is frequently not the case in today's fast-paced world, where the vast majority of the news we consume is anxiety-provoking and paralyzing. Deep breaths together can make all the difference. Nature is built for connection, and co-regulation taps into that sense of connection, which also helps us to embody that. This exercise also illustrates the power each of our stories has to influence each other. Again, regardless of how the statements I offered landed for each of you, the fact is that the words I chose and am choosing now not only impact your thoughts, they also impact how you feel in your body. As inundated with information as we are, it's easy to forget the very real power of the words we speak into a space, especially sometimes the space of our own minds. Small group ministry is an opportunity to recognize and remember the power of our own stories and how they impact us and those we are building relationship with. I'd like to close with one of my own stories. 3 years ago, Reverend Ann Barker, our congregational life lead in this half of the country and one of my closest humans, introduced me to a tool called Yearly Compass. Yearly Compass is a fabulous resource in the shape of a free downloadable PDF that has you go through your calendar from the previous year and write down major events, relationships, and projects to help you see what themes were alive for you and set goals for the year to come. If you are the kind of human that loves an annual writing retreat for yourself, like I am, I highly recommend checking it out, Yearly Compass. I've done a lot of inner child healing work in these last 3 years. I haven't asked consent of the knowledge keepers that I work with to name them or the space they provide in this context, so I'll leave it at simply saying that I've sat in ceremony monthly for this work for over 2 years. It's been wildly transformative. Being born with chronic illness, my child self suffered in silence a lot. She was incredibly resilient, and the main way she survived was through an emotional fawn response, making her very easily lovable. It's a pattern I've worked on healing a lot in my adult life, and it still arises frequently. I've also been an artist my whole life. I've been intentional in nourishing that part of myself because it's how I connect with sacred creation and build a relationship with divinity. This New Year's Eve, I booked a friend's little cabin in the woods for my yearly compass writing ritual. The cabin and full day to reflect was exactly what I needed. A cozy one-room space with a wood stove that required me to feed a real fire the whole time I was feeding my inner fire. A bookshelf with a few books hand-picked by my friend for when I needed an extra dose of inspiration, and soft lighting to hold me into the wee hours of morning as I wrote. In going through my calendar from last year, I realized something that felt really, really important. Although I had events and meetings and school and workshops and gathering with friends and trips and multiple ways in which I serve community every single week of the year in my calendar, I didn't have a single day all year that was set aside for myself. I know that I made space for those days as I lived last year, yet they weren't in my calendar. I wondered what stories I'd been telling myself to lead to that omission. The next morning, I talked with my friend who owns the cabin and booked it for 24 hours this month, every 24 hours every month this year for a solo artist retreat. It's in my calendar. And having it there excites me and brings me a lightness of being that I've previously felt hard to maintain in my life. There's no way I would have noticed that prominent pattern without almost 3 years of sharing my stories in healing circles and small group ministry settings. The stories we tell ourselves and each other are incredibly powerful. They ripple in ways we can never fully predict. When I'm giving my elevator speech for Soul Matters, I simply invite folks into a small group where your soul matters, because that's my truth when I hold sacred space for others. May this month be an opportunity to look deeply at your own stories and hear that still small voice within you when it speaks. Blessed be, and amen. And I am also going to now invite you into joining us in singing number 6 in the Gray Hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Before I extinguish our chalice today, I just want to say thank you so much for being willing to have somebody join us online. And thank you, Ilara, for joining us in this way. It was a gift to have you here. And these words again from Reverend Bob Janice Dillon. Stories, paradoxically, are both a step back from our lives and a step further into our lives. In the short term, stories are an escape from our own life. But in the long term, stories provide us with meaning and context, allowing us to live more fully. Stories remind us that life is not just a set of problems to solve, but a meaningful tale to be read with care.
And this story is about a young woman, 22, facing existential mysteries that we all face, and trying to evolve with an open mind. In the spirit of Pete Seeger, singing If You Know It, and before anything, thank you to Claire, thank you to John for everything you've done. Of course. Rose and flows of angels' hair, and ice cream castles in the air, and feathered canyons everywhere. I looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds illusions I recall. I really don't know how.
Booms and tunes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel, 'cause every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at life that way, but now it's just another shoe. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let it show. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from given day, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't
Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I looked at life that way. But now, friends, they're acting strange.